call this May 5th meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission to order and ask that you all stand with us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Mr. Summer, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Benberry.
Here.
Commissioner Bradford. Commissioner Morrison.
Here.
Commissioner Pollard.
Here.
Commissioner Schranke.
Here.
Commissioner Wade.
Here.
Chair Crecilius.
Here. Mr. Wade, do you have the minutes motion, please?
Yes, I move that the reading of the minutes for April 4, 2022 be waived and that the minutes of said meeting as prepared by staff be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Schranke. There was one small change. It's very small.
Okay.
Frankly, I had to hunt for it. It was really the minutes were pretty well done.
They were quite long minutes. But these are a revision from what you had in your packet to better reflect the vote that was taken with the exclusions that was added onto the
Correct.
motion.
Yeah. Any other corrections or changes? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Wade.
Aye.
Commissioner Benberry.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Pollard.
Aye.
Commissioner Schramke.
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. Ms. Schramke, you have our first petition tonight.
I do.
I think I do. The
No, yours.
520.
I've got 02.
5250 and 5266.
No, I think that's the
No,
second one.
That's the second one.
I'm sorry.
It's all
That's
right.
okay.
It's okay.
I move that this commission adopt a resolution recommending to the Board of Commissioners that case TXT 2022-0002 pertaining to the text amendment of sections 126-73 home occupations, section 126-83 landscape regulations, 126-87 mobile food vehicles and food tents, 126-108 downtown business town lifts zone, B2T and 126-115 historical zones, H1 and H2 of the Paducah zoning ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Second by Benberry.
I just said a whole lot. Would you like to tell us whatever I just said?
He's going to explain
Or
each
repeat that?
section.
The very first section of that, which I'll take the first chunk of, is the home occupation revision. Typically, we get requests for things like offices where nobody actually comes to the residence, like internet sales and things like that. The City of Hopkinsville has adopted a provision in their zoning ordinance that if there's no sales, no customers, no signs, that staff can approve the home occupation. They still have to get a business license, but it would make it more efficient if we went down the same road and adopted these types of home occupations for staff approval.
Are there any questions concerning that section of the text amendment? Move ahead, please.
The next is for landscape regulations, and this has actually been in the works for quite a while. The current zoning ordinance stipulates that trees should be preserved, but it doesn't necessarily say how big and what that looks like. With this new text amendment, we are proposing that any tree 15 inches in diameter be preserved and only removed upon approval of the zoning administrator. And trees 30 inches in diameter is considered historic. In order to save these trees, we are proposing a tree protection zone, which would be around what we call the drip line, which is the outermost edge of the canopy of the trees. And also within the landscaping part of the ordinance, since it also deals with screening, we're proposing that any commercial or industrial business that's located next to a residential land use be screened. Because right now, you can have, if you're in a B3 zone, you can have Wendy's right next to a home with no screening. So we did make that change to protect residences of all shapes and sizes and forms.
I was also glad to see an approved list of trees and what
Yes.
really grows well here and what would be trees that we wouldn't like to see
Right.
planted.
And that document is meant to be a living document, pun
Right.
intended.
It can change.
But it's referenced in the proposed text amendment, but it's not officially adopted because we do expect that to change from
Right.
time to time.
But it at least gives direction, which I
Yes,
think is good.
Yes. And the tree board has had a lot of input on that.
Anything with shrubs and all that stuff too, like
Yeah.
kudzu?
I don't know if kudzu's on that
Bamboo.
list. Well,
Just curious.
shrubs are a part of that, is part of what they would recommend for approval in certain situations or not to use at all. And like I say, those may be things that we can adopt later down the line.
So does the tree removal also apply to homes as well as commercial? It's everything within the city.
As written,
I must have missed it, but I didn't.
oh, okay. Well, it talks about basically site plans
Okay,
for this. This is for new developments, like somebody
Okay.
wants to build a Wendy's or a McDonald's or something,
and we don't have any requirements for landscaping minimum for home development?
not for homes.
Okay. Is that a consideration?
It wasn't at this time because we wanted primarily to begin with the parking fields that is generally associated with commercial development.
Someday, we'd love to see it for homes.
Usually comes with HOAs.
Yeah, they generally do have regulations in HOAs.
Are there any other comments or questions about this section?
I have a question. Why were all of these grouped together as one motion?
That's what I,
Well, that's how we typically do it, so that the document that Madam Chair has can be signed and given over to city clerk so that it can be adopted at one time. That way, the city commission's not going through and adopting each separate thing, that they can adopt it all together.
But it doesn't mean that it couldn't be changed if you see that there's something that needs to be changed, or, I mean, that's what we're here for.
Right.
To discuss that.
And for example, for the sign ordinance, we did pull that out. It was adopted in one motion, but we did pull that out separate for city commission. So we certainly have that opportunity to do so.
Any other questions, comments?
I don't particularly have a problem with the grouping this time, but if something would come before us that had several different things and we felt that one of those issues should be addressed, the whole thing then could be denied because of one.
It can
So
be
I
pulled out
guess
by
I
this body.
really am not in favor of this bulk presentation, but
Right.
I have no problems with this one as, way
Vice
it's
Chair
presented.
Schramke, we can always pull out a section. If this body would like for it to be standalone, there's always that option.
Any other questions or comments? Move ahead to the next section, please.
For mobile food tents and mobile food vehicles, this was a change requested by the Fire Prevention Department. They would like the wording changed to reference the National Fire Protection Association as amended for commercial cooking. That's something that they sent to us and actually wrote up pretty well for us to forward to this body for adoption.
I was going to ask if you wanted to make a comment, but he left, so. Okay. Any other questions or comments about that particular section? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's what fire prevention has requested to make us in compliance with the
Right.
national.
And to make sure that when it's amended, we don't always have to go back and amend our ordinance.
Right. All right, the final section, please. Well, actually, there are two more, but they're very closely
Yes.
related and actually are very much the same.
For the B2T zone, we are proposing for hotels and motels and bed and breakfast be allowed by right in that zone. We already have some in the area.
Right.
So this just cleans that verbiage up. And we also are allowing those types of rental rooms, whether it's a hotel motel, a short-term rental, or a bed and breakfast, to be allowed above or below or in the rear third of the ground floor. And what that's intended to do is to create an active streetscape. And we already don't allow residential dwelling units, and this just adds rental dwelling units to that list.
But we do have residential dwellings on the first floor in the front, downtown on Broadway.
That may be grandfathered in.
Okay.
There's, I think, one or two I can think of, and this actually came in response to that, to make sure we're not having a building facade with an active space. That way there's shops, there's restaurants, there's things like that, which was historical within the downtown business.
Any other questions, comments? Are you ready to proceed with the entire motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to quickly point out the H1 zone basically
I'm sorry.
mimics. Oh, you're fine. The H1 zone mimics the B2T for residential above, below, or in the rear third.
It's the same, only in the different,
Right around Market House Square.
correct. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this motion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Shramky,
Aye.
Commissioner Wade,
Aye.
Commissioner Benberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Pollard,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Ms. Pollard, you have our last item of business.
I move that this commission adopt a resolution recommending the highway business zone classification for property located at 5250 and 5266 US Highway 60 West. I further move this commission adopt the following findings of fact in support of said recommendation. 1, these parcels are urban in character. 2, restaurant uses are highly prevalent along the Highway 60 corridor and in the immediate vicinity, both in the city of Paducah and in McCracken County. 3, these parcels are dependent upon motor vehicle access, which is a hallmark of the highway business zone. 4, highway business zone borders this property to the east, therefore there would be a continuation of this zone. HBZ is also prevalent on the north side of Highway 60 as well. 5, in 2020, the average annual daily traffic count just west of this site was 14,319 vehicles.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
This property was recently annexed into the city on April 26, and it's the Sonic and the Taco John's right next to Banterra Bank. There's also a small office on the Sonic property, but the main use is the restaurant itself. The petitioner is asking for highway business zone, which is what Banterra Bank is zoned, so it would be a continuation of that. And the total area is about 1.52 acres that was annexed. They requested when they annexed into the city to be highway business zone as not to disrupt their operations as restaurant uses. And based on the findings of fact, staff does believe that there's good evidence to support item A, reasons why it should be changed from R1 low-density residential to the highway business zone.
Any questions or comments? I think you've spelled it out pretty clearly for us. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Pollard,
Aye.
Commissioner Shramky,
Aye.
Commissioner Wade,
Aye.
Commissioner Benberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. If there is no other business to come before the commission tonight, we stand adjourned. And our next meeting is June the 6th. We are adjourned at 5:45.